Hi there, this is Chris Cartaya, and today I wanted to show you a video about the KronoMag, the original KronoMag that was ever built. Number 001 itself. It was built exactly, as of this filming, 1 year ago, February 22nd, 2018. And it has not let me down. It has had a few improvements, a few things that have made it better, such as the carbine stock, everything else. But I wanted to make this video for three reasons. One, to celebrate that it is a year old. Two, because one of my friends who has an excellent page on Facebook called Crazy Nerf Club, which has all sorts of new leaks, issues of old blasters, things of such that I really like his Facebook page. It's a good page. His name is Alpaca XJ. He did a KronoMag mod with a 18K worker spring, which, by the way, that spring is very much a copy of what I used originally on these, and what I used on the original, on the 18K Deadpools that I used for dual wielding. They use them now, okay? It's very much a copy of what I used there, only they made it 2 closed coils instead of 1. Nowadays, I use an 18.5 kilogram turf, cut down to about an inch of solid space. Right now, it's loaded to 16 because it's needed for BTA competition. It needs to run 250 feet per second or less. That's right, I had to tame this bad boy. Its accuracy is superior. You think you've seen videos of it knocking down a water bottle in like one shot, just boom. In the right hands, this is a magazine-fed bird of prey. It can do in the same kind of speeds as a above average bird of prey, even with a polygraph tube. The only thing it cannot do in terms of power and speed is, one, a really nice piece of Singapore steel. I mean a long shot like that one, okay? Well, that one I had to detune to 350 feet per second. That's detune. I had to really be careful. But one like that bird of prey, yeah, only you have magazine fed. It can do it. And number two, a really kick-ass bird of prey type A or AR type blaster. That thing, if I tune it up and throw a brand new turf spring in there, when I did it, I was afraid to actually break it out at Armageddon because I thought it might be a little too powerful for Geddon 19. Put in mind, too powerful for Geddon 19. Well, until I accidentally hit my Walther scope on one of the poles and broke it, I was running this blaster, less the stock and the fancy paint job and the scope, and I was getting some very impressive kills. And it was doing that day somewhere between 350 and 380 feet per second. It was really just a high climber that day. Okay, so other than that, a KronoMag can basically do your 300 feet per second, sub 300 foot per second kind of rolls. But I see people using it in rolls where they're trying to make it a retaliator replacement, which it is. It does it very nicely, but there are too many things that are constricting the KronoMag. One of which I think is Worker, who invested all his money in this prophecy and the tooling and everything else. And really, companies like Worker don't want to develop anything that great for the KronoMag. As a matter of fact, they haven't even answered back. Or Star, okay. They have some cool stuff, the metal thing and all that, but the barrel is very short, and it doesn't have the air throughput that one of my KronoMags has. And it's not extremely hard to pull off. Okay, so I believe there's a lot of conflict of interest why this blaster has not really taken flight. I'm kind of happy about it to a degree, because at least they're not freaking trying to copy me. You've seen this hook, that's right, I made the original one of these. There's another guy who 3D prints them. He gave me proper due credit for it. Hey, great, wonderful. But let's face it, the fiberglass one is the original, which really puts this at a low leverage of prime and makes it easy to prime high yields. And I've seen a few, I've seen like the KronoMag or the KronoBurn, right? KronoBurn with the Kronos pump action, a few other. There's been a few other really good mods, but when it comes to power, I don't know. A lot of people don't get it. Alright, so I loaded up some Pack Ds into here. Pack Ds with the Adventure Force foam. This is running at 16K. It's not running at 18.5. It does between about 230 to 250 feet per second. I have a detuned for a BTA war. Oh yeah. Look at that power and consistently. If you hold it nice and steady, you can do great. Oh, there goes the target. You can do great things with a KronoMag. Okay? There's just a few issues you have to understand. Number one, the barrel has to be stable. Number two, the plunger on the inside has to have a good enough pusher that has enough space on it to expand the air into this big barrel in order to push it fast enough to be effective. And number three, you have to use something better than a K26. I am sorry. If you want some good power, I mean long shot kind of power, you really got to think long shot kind of springs. Because just like any other old springer, it doesn't matter how you try to work it. Power comes from force. End of fucking story. If you try to run a spring that is, okay, you try to run a K25 or a K26, yeah, you'll get some pretty good KronoMag kind of power. And you know, some people just want it for that. They don't want anything, prophecy kind of power. They don't want anything more than that. But a KronoMag, it can be a prophecy killer, as you can see here. And oh yes, it is by far. Oh yes, it is. That's doing what you just saw is 230, 200 feet per second, pinpoint accuracy with a Merlin. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. It's not 18.5 at the moment, but it says it on the stock, of course. So let me show you a few tips with this thing. Let's take this thing down and show you what's what. So once again, I'm using this camera. I hope it comes out, this video. Yeah, it's hard to do head cam, but some shots like this, you're just better off doing it with a head cam. Okay, so I unscrewed this to make this a little quicker, and of course I forget a screw or two. Oh, why do I do that? Come on. Okay, alright. I want to show some tips on this blaster. Okay, show you some things that will keep your blaster from self-destructing. Very important, very important. Okay. Number one, this is a sludge fire stock. It is simply just wedged in here, glued in here, and bolted in here. It's just basically cut out. It's cut out a little bit more on this side and this side to give my arm some support. But other than that, yeah. You can basically take a sludge fire stock, cut it. You have to file this bolt here and this here to fit it, but it'll work. And if you want to do even more, like cast this whole side with epoxy and have it put in, which is going to be one of my next moves, all power to you. Here is the major issue I think Alpaca is having. This right here. Do you see this? Anybody see this? This is cast epoxy, but that's not the reason. The reason is that this cast epoxy head is nudged against this fiberglass reinforced dart gate and magazine. Okay? So what this does is it makes it so you have a limiting point every time you fire. And it's a strong limiting point because that's epoxy and fiberglass. That is really, that's strong. That's as strong as steel. Okay? So by doing this, by making a proper limit, and I've seen like the Venom kit, the Venom magazine kit, that looks good, okay? That's strong enough to probably be a limiter. Without a limiter here, you don't have the means of keeping this from going too much forward. And it will rip at this, and the other one of these on the other side. You can see mine, no white plastic, no nothing, and I am running, I ran crazy yields through this thing. No problem. There's the stock right there. Okay, no problem. Okay, just no problem whatsoever. It does great. Okay, so that's advice number one. You have to have some limiter for this tube, and the end of this tube has to be strong enough to seat into this point right here to work. Now, let's work on the spring here. Spring guide. That's right. This is made for cut down 1-inch springs. That's a cut down 16 turf right there. See? It's all flat ground. Flat ground, your springs. If they're not flat ground, they're going to be all wanky and twisty, and you don't want that. The plunger. Silicone padding. I have a video on padding these with silicone. It was known as the Kronos hack of the week. I was going to do a Kronos hack every week, and it didn't quite go that way. As a matter of fact, I think this is a little too tight for 16. I'm going to lose some of this Teflon tape on the inside of this. Yeah, it's a little too tight for 16K. Just a little. For 18.5, that's great, you know, but for 16, no, you want the speed seal effect to it. When do you want speed seal effect? When do you not want speed seal effect? If you got a spring with enough spring action and you want to make the best use with low yield, spring seal is good. If you got a really high yield, bigger is better. Okay? So on this, the piccaninny rail is glued on this side, and this is glued, so these are permanent, which holds the scope in place. Again, this was the very first one before anybody made any mod kits, anything. So I'm sure there's better stuff now. People like Joshua Church doing great stuff with it. Yeah. So anyway, let's remove the breech. There's the breech. But this is all one piece, you see? Yeah. And yeah, that looks really primitive because I didn't trim this. But I didn't trim this because I wanted the reinforcement to go all the way up here. And this... it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's got an L breech, a nice, you know, throated barrel, 1730 seconds, if you can see that. Real nice. Okay. But the big thing that I'm seeing with a lot of Kronoses, which is the reason I think that a lot of them are very limited. Okay. Let me lose this. One of the things I like about the KronoMag is that you can leave everything in place. The tube. Stainless steel, 3/16 stainless, casted in the back, in the front, and inside of here. So this thing is casted with 4 castings of epoxy on the front. It is sealed with go-to glue on the back, and the seal's still intact, nice and smooth, which again butts up to this, which makes it really cool. I can't do the seal test because I have 2 things here that keep it from vacuum loading right there. But the main thing is this on the inside, other than this crown on the inside from the cutting, and you can see how that's tapered on the front to feed better, is the size of a 45 caliber bullet, 11.25 millimeters on the inside diameter. So it has the throughput to throw the air as fast as I need, and I don't really have to worry about dead space reduction. Why? Look how short that pusher is. Compare that to a long shot. And how much space do you have in a long shot? You got like this much space. This much dead space. This, you only have this much dead space. Isn't that nice? So little dead space. It's done lengthwise instead of diameter-wise. Too many people try to make this too thin. And by doing this, you're lowering the bandwidth of how much air you can push to the dart. Especially with a long barrel setup like this. You need to have... look, I can hold this just like this. It doesn't move. It doesn't anything. It's great. This is glued in here. Laminated fiber tape in here. It's crazy glued there, but then epoxied up here. Okay? Nice, stable. I can actually hold the blaster like this, and it's fine. Oh, and why have the mag release front like this? Because when you're holding it with your hand like this, like an SMG, this is actually a better place for the mag release, I have found. Yeah. Okay, so tips. Number 1, make this real solid to the gate. Make all of this just one piece strong. My next build, I'm going to build this and this just together. I'm not even going to make this separate at all. Even though it's strong enough, I'd like it stronger. Make this barrel really cast in there. Not just put in there and moving around, whatever. No. Really strong, okay? And the next thing, really, air throughput. And make sure this butt. So here, let me put this together real quick. That's not going anywhere, man. That is not going anywhere. Okay? Ooh, nice seal. Yeah, yep. Yeah, see? I gotta go straight doing it, but... yeah, speed seals work. Especially on a high speed design like this, where you have less travel, less period of fire, yeah, than a long shot or a caliburn or something like that. A speed seal really, really works extremely well. Just gotta take advantage of it. And look at that, 1 year, no stress marks, no stress cracks, no nothing. Why? Because this is limited by this front here, and it's not pulling these tabs away from my slide. So Alpaca, I made this especially for you, but also because it is the 1-year anniversary. But I did make this especially for you. Give you some tips on how to not destroy a KronoMag plunger tube. It happens to the best of us. I wish you the best of luck, and keep going with your channel on Facebook. It is a really great channel, and I really do look forward to all the stuff you produce. So until next time, this is Chris Cartaya saying, don't you go changing, or I'll find you. Now I gotta put this damn blaster back together.